I do suppose. Live video is starting. Live video starting.
Starting.
Video.
Booting up.
Booting. Loading.
Loading.
Ah!
Hey. You know, it dawns on me that we call this a show about nothing, but every show has been about something. This is the first show about nothing. Officially about nothing.
Do you think? No. The show is never about nothing. The show is about nothing. That's the point.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, this is the first nothing show. Like, for real.
Well,
we don't have a topic or...
We do. Where's the line? There's a
Okay.
topic. I will say this. There's a topic in the title.
Okay.
That's kind of half the humor.
Okay. So this is the Where's the Line episode of Where's the Line?
This is the Where's the Line episode of Where's the Line.
Okay.
Okay, so, yes. Obviously, the topics are all a little, off the cuff.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
but as much as... So, okay, guys, we started off the show talking about figuring out what the episode was going to be about, and it derailed. That part's not...
Yeah.
But... If you think about it, when you've named the show, I've embraced it.
Yeah. You're pretty good about that.
You sometimes get frustrated that you came up with a topic and then my head...
I'm not very good at, like, deviating from what I thought the show was going to be. Sometimes. Sometimes I'll think a show is going to go one way. Like, my brain will build up an expectation.
Right, I got you.
And it'll get crushed, and then I'm like... okay.
Do you ever come back with a... Do you communicate that in some way other than crushed?
I maybe should. I mean, not crushed, like, just different.
The hard part will be, I'll feel like I'm halfway in, and then you feel like you want to go another direction. That's when I have issues. Then I'm like, I don't know.
Sometimes I'm running out of steam on a certain topic. Or, like, sometimes we'll get halfway through a show, and I'm, like, running out of anything.
So,
like,
what do you bring then? Why don't you bring that?
I don't know. I don't know how to bring that. I mean, like, do I stop the show and be like, hey, I don't know what to talk about? Like, because it's like, sometimes my brain goes blank, and I can't figure out what's going on.
I do the same thing happens to me, as you know.
Okay, so what do you do then?
Pastor Ross. It can be really hard.
Okay.
I've thought about the idea. It'd be better off if I was... The funny thing is, freestyle and then take notes as I go so that I know what the...
Know what you were talking about?
The problem with the soft mic cover is it's not satisfying.
What do you mean?
You guys can hear me hit my head on it, but it doesn't hit my head.
Yeah,
it's soft.
It's flimsy, you know? When you hit your head, you ought to hit your head, you know?
How do we communicate where the lines are before we go over them? Or after? Or in a way that is meaningful? So...
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
I was halfway into a much longer than normal show yesterday.
Okay.
When it rotated hard.
Yes.
Which has never happened before.
Yeah, like I said, frazzling is maybe a good word for it. Like, my brain scrambles sometimes, and especially when there's any form of conflict, I go blank.
There's a PTSD aspect.
Yeah, it's almost like there's no thought going on. It's not so much that I don't know what to say or that I don't have anything to say. It's that there's no thought process going on. It's completely blank in my head. And I'm trying to figure out how to get over that, or at least, like, deal with some of that.
Well, part of me is like...
Because it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for life in general. Is when a conflict starts, you just go blank. You can't do that.
To a great extent, today's show is about how do we do a show.
Yeah.
Not in the sense of how do we do a show, like, how do we do a show, but like how we do a show.
Right.
And discussing. So it's a dance.
Yeah.
It is a reality. And if I drop out on Ross or Ross drops out on me, we feel it.
We both feel it, yes.
That part of the reason I 45 minutes to an hour is more doable.
Right.
I think.
Right.
I mean, can I get on here and blither for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? Can I? Yeah. I could talk forever, guys. Look, it'll never stop, and the words will come out, and
I can almost hold it together for a full 45 minutes. I can almost do that now. I'm like close. I'm this close, you know.
You only have to stop a couple times going around the block.
Yeah, basically.
For those of you that don't know, Ross, the 19-year-old, runs with the 9-year-old, and of course the 9-year-old gets back and goes, "Well, I didn't have to stop."
Of course
Ross had to stop twice.
I had to stop twice. Well, I really didn't have to stop, but I told myself to stop because I was like,
no, you were comfortable. I find it funny. Don't feel bad about it. It's the drivenness of the 9-year-old. It has nothing to do.
I used to be able to like push through freaking cramps and stuff like that, and now if I start to feel my sides like pinching a little bit, I'm like, okay, stop, slow down a little bit.
You're getting older, and I mean, as a wise old black man, I can understand how you want me as a young white boy to try and keep up, but I can't.
Doesn't work. God damn it.
This time you got to be black.
I did?
Yeah, you were the old black man this time. I was the young white kid.
Okay. I was like, what? You flipped it.
I flipped it again.
You flipped it again. Yeah.
I flipped it again. Jesus Papoose?
Baby Jesus?
Baby Jesus?
Who knows?
It's a Mormon thing. You wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't get it.
You know, Jesus in the Southwest.
Yeah.
Jesus Papoose.
Jesus Papoose. Yeah. You don't know about Jesus Papoose. What are you doing?
You ain't down with Jesus Papoose.
You ain't down for the cause, okay?
Oh yeah, we could dance around the lines hard. That we talk about my form of expression / comedy or whatever it is I do, and I talk about how I operate in the DMZ and how it freaks you out.
Oh yeah. Sometimes he'll make a joke and I'm like, oh God, where are we going? You'll start up a joke. It's like revving up the lawnmower or something, and I'm like, oh snap, he's about to cut some stuff. Ah.
Well, and so there's an interesting thing going on in my head.
Okay.
I've had some conversations with some people that agree that I'm not great with somebody on the other end that wants to expound more but is slow in bringing it. That I've got a close friend that his speech pattern is just slower. He's a great guy, and I love talking to him.
Right.
And we've had a couple interviews that were like that. And now that I think there's another interview where I felt that way. That do I owe... So in my head, when I consider what we're doing, I think of it like a radio show.
Mm-hmm.
I think of it like a traditional talk radio. Now, what I took from talk radio is dead air don't work.
Yeah.
If all we are is a podcast with a video, I can pull dead air off.
I think, yeah.
If what we are is on Spotify and people are streaming us as a podcast without video, I'm telling you that dead air can be crushing. That somebody bumping into because they're looking for something engaging.
Okay.
The hard part is, though, at the same time, I'm trying to create an open format style of communication.
I will say part of it is with a podcast, I think you have a bit more leeway as far as...
Well, absolutely. When you have video, you have more space.
Well, not just video. I think even with a regular podcast, because traditionally, when I listen, or when I used to listen to podcasts,
while you were driving,
I don't listen to podcasts as much.
While you were driving.
Well, okay.
So what I did for a living was I drove 50 to 75,000 miles a year, and the only thing I listened to was talk radio. Well, okay, and I listened to comedy.
Okay.
Because engagement on long drives is huge. For me, and maybe this is I'm trying to work out what perspective is, whether it's the combination of Howard Stern screwing at anybody that left any open air. And whether you agree or disagree with Mr. Stern, you have to agree that in the world of experience at how to do talk radio and draw an audience, that's the definition.
Right.
You know, whether or not you're in that group, you can look at his numbers and go, he knows something.
Right. That's accurate.
So there's an accurate place to go to school, whether or not you want there to be boobies in the studio. Well, no, people get very... My influences as far as radio. I listened to a lot of talk radio. So, oddly, very right-leaning, and has been forever. For those of you that the takeover of AM radio by a particular viewpoint. So I listened to a lot of that. All of the guys you can think of that right now are the famous right-wing guys that run their mouths to some extent or another. I never did the Brett Bart or whoever that was. Right, the guy that was all Trumpy and whatever he was running. I don't know. And that wasn't meant offensively. I just meant I don't know those guys. Yeah. I'm back a little bit further.
Right.
As far as, because then when I went over the road, I added Sirius Satellite Radio. Because when Howard Stern was in Ohio, I got used to listening to that. And it's where a lot of the ideas come from a room full of people beyond even just two.
Okay.
That singular isn't that interesting. It's not a conversation.
Singular is not, I got it.
So, and I knew that had played out well because I'd gotten some comments, and I in my head I'm thinking they came through you from one of the people we talked to, but I could be mistaken. That one of the things people enjoyed was the feeling of, wow, it's a conversation I feel like I could be a part of.
Right. Right.
And so that's a piece.
Okay.
I also listened. I spent a lot. The other thing was comedy. I listened to endless stand-up. Because when you're driving, if you're driving long hours, something that causes a reaction is better than any, like, music will kill you.
Right.
You will be dead on the side of the road because
unless it's all energy.
Just what happens.
Illustration.
Little
illustration.
I really want there to be space for the people we're interviewing to communicate, because and that my perspective was different than other people's perspectives, that to some extent I wasn't trying to fill space to ever silence anybody.
Right.
That what I would try to do, and you can see it repeatedly in yesterday's interview, is, okay, I haven't given enough of myself yet for this person to be comfortable. Let me give you another example that's a piece of me.
Right.
And so I cut off another piece of me. This is how it feels inside of me. I know that I get that for me it's, okay, hold on a second. I'll cut another piece out of the inside of me and I'll give it to you. I don't mind. If you're having trouble finding your answer, let me give you a moment to do that. Let me give you another piece of me to fill this space while you're figuring out.
I'll say that
that's my goal, not to filibuster.
I
mean, what I'm trying to say. Okay, I was doing it.
I watched what do you call it? I used to watch a lot of comedy podcasts, and I found that there's a lot more of, like, not making sure that there's no space making sure that it's
like
stuff is keep constantly coming. I mean, it's you're filling the space and stuff like that. I also found that there's a slightly different audience for this, but there is a bit more of an audience for a slower pace of podcasting.
Think that's a projection.
You think that's a projection?
Yeah. I think this show
I got that impression.
Doesn't fit those molds. And okay, so where do you think is this big market where people...
I got that impression.
I could do a podcast on meditation.
I can tell you a specific podcast. Okay. I got that impression from Joe Rogan's podcast. Because they're a little bit less focused on filling space. Whereas comedy, I will say, I don't watch those podcasts as much. I will say, the comedy podcasts where they're filling space are more interesting. They keep me engaged. Yes, there's definitely validity to filling the space makes the content more engaging. There's definitely validity to that. There's without a doubt. I also do think that there's an audience for a slower pace.
I think I have shows that I would like to see more go more that way.
Okay.
You know what? If we were doing on Sundays, if we were doing the after service.
The what? The after service?
Yeah, it's like the after party, but for like religious people.
Okay.
So we don't talk about which God. We just talk about what we learned today. It's kind of like breakfast epiphanies. Right. It's all kind of a rolled up into thing.
Right.
But like yesterday, so I worked on a thing. After all of this, I had we're big on in the men's group that I'm in. We really enjoy a good fire. We meet on Zoom though. But in general, we talk about fires, meditation, our reason for being, our why.
Right. Your fire.
Well, so I went a very different direction yesterday.
Okay.
Okay. So I started in a different place. I started here with the idea that as much as we feel our fire and our need and our energy, that I had an amazing experience with our old friend deciding to take a nap at my feet on the deck. And what an amazing gift that was.
Right.
That he had felt so at peace, safe in my space.
Comfortable.
But reminding me that I needed to pause. Reminding me that like the ocean, the earth breathes like the tides rolling in and out. To take a moment to feel that. To let yourself rest in it, to not only feel the fire, but know that water is just as important. That we are a saucy little bag of liquids with some fire to make it go, and to have one without the other is to be incomplete. And that even that knowing that actually in the end allows us to be better in touch with the very fires inside of us. That no one element rules them all. That pause and go matter. Now, the difference is, and I didn't go for there was a minute-long meditation on the water where I left silence.
Right.
But because my thoughts were where they were from earlier in the day, one of the things I worked on was giving space even in that meditation. That it's hard for me. It's so your nervous reaction is to shut down.
Your nervous reaction is to talk.
Right.
Yeah.
And the goal is to make a living off my nervous reaction. The higher the anxiety, the better the show.
Yes.
So if
Accurate.
we just poke Matt with
we just
sticks,
poke him just enough.
and he will look like this. He will be on fire. Fire!
Burn!
Oh, now I wish I had the other fire. Now I wish I had him swinging, him so excited with his fire. I have it somewhere, but we're not going to go find it right now.
Okay.
You know, the fire matters. Your fire, my fire. It's the way they come together that makes this happen. It's not me or you. It's not me or you or Willow.
Mm-hmm.
The energy is there because of all of us. Mm-hmm. It's multiplied because of all of us. Mm-hmm. It's a cool thing.
It's a
if
coming
you don't
together.
Use it to burn down the house.
Yeah, it's a coming together. It's meant to be the 3 or however many people are there.
Well, yeah, because
sharing the space, you know.
Well, we've done rooms full of people.
Yeah.
You know that we've done. God, I love it when there's people. Like, I am such a twisted little puppy. I love it when people are here. Oh my God, I hate it when people are here. Right?
Yeah.
Is that dead on? I mean,
that's
as accurate as it gets. It's not like, tell me that somebody's coming into the studio and watch me climb the walls.
I really love when people are here. Like, really love when people are here. And the reason I say that is because people help me calm down a lot of times, where it's like, okay, I don't have to feel so much pressure to fill it with something.
Right.
Like, I'll feel that pressure. I feel the same pressure you feel. It just expresses in a different way. We feel the same thing. When there's silence in the room, we feel the same thing. Like, we both feel the pressure of that silence.
And I have spent 5 decades. It's my freestyle. I freestyle to silence.
Right.
But if you give me a beat, I'll try and do it to that too. But I prefer just the light. I really do want to do more of that. I hate that fell apart.
Yeah.
No, I loved sitting here with somebody just noodling on a guitar with me.
Right.
And letting me tell a story.
Right.
With neither of us knowing where it's going.
Right. Neither of us really understanding, okay, next step.
Yeah, it's my jazz. I'm really looking forward to getting King in with his horns.
Yeah.
There are people I need to reach out to. The guy that sold us the amps wanted to come in.
I gotta talk to the kazoo guy again.
No, is the kazoo guy the guy we keep missing on Saturdays, though?
No.
Who's that guy?
That guy is, he's a rapper.
If people ever wonder why we guerrilla style these interviews is... So yesterday, the one that ran really long, I mean, it pushed 15 minutes past start. Mm-hmm. Which was fine. Please don't take that in the wrong... That we try to accommodate... That's what...
What?
Well, and then that thought hits me again, and it's like, and I do everything. We try to accommodate all the people we're interviewing so it fits their schedule as opposed to ours. Don't get me wrong, we've had some moments the studio got busy. Ha ha ha.
Right.
The temperature in here was a little high. And so we've rescheduled and stuff. But in general, my big goal with the schedule the way it is for us to feel like it's open enough that what fits a person, we can find a space.
Right, we can find some time somewhere.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
My goal is to create a space where people feel seen and heard.
Right.
And my first round of somebody saying, no, I wasn't. I don't ever want anybody to feel that way in here. I don't want you to feel that way in here.
I think...
That feeling you get where you're overwhelmed and you don't know what to say. I wish... I don't know how to... I want to go, no, you're fine. It's okay, you're safe.
Well, it's difficult because that feeling isn't something that goes away. I think that feeling only goes away with time and experience and trying to push past it and making an effort constantly, for lack of a better term, to say something.
Well, the weirdest part about yesterday was, no, that energy was palpable. She was pushing hard. I was pushing hard. You were there.
I was there, but not there.
No, I know. No,
yeah. I was there in a.
But
yeah.
The twist felt familiar. And I don't mean this in any way as judgment or detriment of anybody we've ever interviewed. It was like the fire out of control turned on you. And I talk about that a lot, that when I talk about the idea of our fire in these groups, what I talk about is not just the pretty campfire. That our energy and how we direct it has consequence. And your fire is a tool.
Right.
It can keep others warm. It can burn down their homes.
Right.
That I was talking to a close friend as we were discussing situations abroad, and how what you end up seeing is their pain. That even take the worst oligarch, megalomaniac, power hungry, whatever. I know they're desperate for somebody to love them. I can see it literally in their eyes.
Right.
This weird... I was reading a Reddit post about what is it you think... what causes school shootings. And I have a theory.
I also have a theory, but go.
That it's... we are all so desperate to be seen and heard, to be understood, that it is a level of pain so high that you've gotten to the point of, at any cost, I just need somebody to see me. It's not about fame. People are like, suicide by cop, and I'm like, no, that's not it. I don't think that's it.
It's the other extreme. It's... suicide is a very far-reaching extreme, and so is...
Do you think it's about suicide?
A mass shooting.
I think it's about, I want them to know who I am.
It's a different thing. It's a different. That's why I say they're both extremes on it almost like on a spectrum.
Right.
Because one extreme is I'm in pain and I want the pain to stop. The other extreme is I'm in pain, I want to inflict pain.
Okay, and this is not an offensive comment. What I'm about to ask is kind of weird, but I don't mean it to be taken overly politicized. When you look at the psyche of a school shooter, would you say that's similar to a leader like Vladimir Putin, who, now don't get me wrong, is not dealing with the ramifications of I'm alone and in a school, but has the ability to cause that amount of pain and is in a desire to be seen?
That's an interesting thought. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
One of the things that happens, and maybe I don't talk about it enough here on the air. I spend a lot of time looking at people going, whoa, 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 no. I just ask questions because I'm interested.
I would say it's a strong possibility. I think there are some people that want to watch the world burn, and sometimes when you give people like that power, or people like that rise to a level of power, it can manifest in weird ways, I think.
Well, yeah.
Because...
well, then it compounds, I think. I mean, it's not
sometimes, I think with some people, a lot of their experience is made to hide that. I think, to some extent, Vladimir Putin's experience might be a lot of...
hide all weakness.
To hide all of the feelings of I want to watch the world burn. To hide all of that. But it still comes out. I think that's a possibility. I mean, who knows, really? But
I get that. That one of the things, so when I look at the world, what I see is a middle school playground. As a species, what I think is, if we could just make the leap to adult, is how it feels. Like watching teenagers play. and they play and they play and they have little war games, or let's call it something else. But anyways, they go back and forth. Then all of a sudden, one of the kids gets angry.
Mm-hmm.
Wants to take their ball home.
Yeah.
The other kids are pissed. They beat up that kid and take the ball.
Yeah.
That kid gets angry, so he goes and finds some more friends so that he can go get his ball back. Next thing your ball's deep in love.
I was gonna say next thing you know, World War I, but
But it's like, so. Did you ever know the kind of chubby Pooh Bear looking kid that thought he knew more than everybody else?
Yeah.
And would walk around like everybody else is stupid. They just don't. But they really didn't. But there were large pieces of it that they didn't even get. They didn't even understand. They were sure. They decided, well, nope, I already know everything, so I know this is the piece that matters, and you guys are all wrong.
Most of the kids that tried to bully me were dumber than me. No offense to them at all, but they were. It just that they didn't know certain things.
Okay, did you know, there might not have been at your school.
Okay.
I don't mean any judgment. Did you guys have a rich kid?
Yeah, we did.
We thought everybody should. Okay, so at my daughter's high school, she went to school with the son of somebody who played for our local university, and he was their quarterback. I went to graduation, and they stood at the bottom in front of everybody else on the risers, so nobody else could friggin' see the graduation.
Wow. That's effed up, man.
But, okay, so self-importance?
Self-importance much? Yeah.
We've had a leader that I remember seeing that it came across very much to me like he was that rich kid that always, but daddy was never home. All of it is about trying to get daddy's attention, because the only reason you're a rich kid is daddy's been gone.
Yes, and when dad dies, it's impossible to get that attention.
Oh,
so
but
you
keep
seek it
trying.
from the world, yeah.
Do you remember that kid on the playground, though?
Yeah.
He'd be kind of douchey. He'd kind of like, well, you're not giving me enough respect. Based on his parents, like, he thought.
Right.
I actually also went to school with the son of somebody that owns one of the biggest national pizza chains.
I think thinking you deserve respect is one of the biggest sources of pride.
Ego will eat you.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Good or bad,
Understand,
yes.
beating yourself up is ego too.
Yes.
All right, it's still inner self.
Yeah.
And that's that extreme thing we were talking about a minute ago.
It's the
I hate me, I hate everybody else. Whatever, as long as
there
I find
you go.
a reason.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say. It's I hate me versus I hate everybody else. And it manifests differently based on how you're raised and how your life turns out.
Because you want to fit in and you're busy wearing masks. You want to be part of that, but you want to get to be you.
Mm-hmm.
Are those the two extremes?
I think so.
Angry at me because I don't fit in with them. Angry at them because they don't let me fit in.
Yeah. That
because
sounds like
everybody
accurate,
is obsessed with how can I be something other than myself.
How can I be something else?
And we're raising our children, instead of thinking about who am I, they're thinking about what do I want?
Right.
What things do I need? How can I get that?
Right.
But that's an endless loop, because you're going to chase the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
I would say as a kid, I was trying to figure that out. I was trying to figure out who I was more than what I wanted. And that's what led me to hanging out with every kind of person that would talk to me.
Okay. But a great deal of your motivation, and I'm not going to go into which thoughts you were having about where you could do this or do that, but at the same time, your primary motivator is still money. So now you're really fucked up in the head. Not because that's not a judgment. That's a trying to point it out. That it's in the measuring. How do you define success?
How do I define success?
What is success? For me, it's if you plant some seeds, maybe some shit grows.
In my opinion, success means that you were able to affect other people's lives for the positive. That's always been my definition of success. Is I want to help other people either feel good about themselves or feel better about themselves. Like I want people to be better for knowing me, if at all possible.
Yeah,
you know,
that's meaningful. I agree that. Yeah. But there's this obsession with measuring everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that there's this obsession with, how do I sell this? Where's, how can I find the right people to sell this to? You know, that, so my prosperity was questioned. My need for additional prosperity. And I took a moment yesterday and meditated on that during the show. We were doing a show, somebody asked me.
Mm-hmm.
And my answer kind of wasn't the expected one, I don't think. How could I be more prosperous? Look around me. It's not to say there aren't hard days, but look around me. I could never be more prosperous than I am now.
Yeah.
There are beautiful living things all around me. Amazing people.
I've always felt like my situation was normal because of the things I knew that other people didn't have, that I had. I've always felt like along the way, I've always felt like I had a normal life. Always. Only looking back do I realize, like, okay, some of that stuff was like, I was lacking in some things. But
one of the most powerful things, I was in, just a hair older than you.
Uh-huh.
I was in a relationship, and I was in it for a while, and including some crazy crap.
Okay.
And it wasn't until a few weeks into not being in that relationship anymore. Don't get me wrong, driving away felt like freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Felt it. I mean, straight felt it.
Mm.
You know, don't get me wrong, she had just beat the windshield in with a 2x4. And I was driving that truck. But, and you think of all those world leaders that you're not happy with the way they think. You think about all of those whoever's. It wasn't until I was outside it that you could truly recognize how outrageous the situation had been. That you look at, whoa, wow, whoa, because you end up with a new perspective of normal, and you look back and you go, bullets for breakfast? Love you, Anthem.
Right.
But, so isn't that equally true of all of us lost in this frigging ridiculous race?
I think so.
That we all go, no, but that's the way we do it.
For the fact that there will always be things that you have that other people don't have. Well, I think no matter which way you look at it, there will always be something that you have that other people don't have.
Well, and I think the only part of that matters is the part that's inside of you.
Yeah, it's your piece. It's how you deal with it. How you come to.
I dream of a 100-acre farm and a community of people that are there for each other. I dream of hydroelectric batteries where, you know, water goes up one side, down the other, and you farm fish and rice, and you have miniature cows, and you have some eggs. And, you know, you have people come there, and you have cool craftspeople that, because you literally, if you have enough land, you can very quickly create a situation where you're self-sustaining now.
Yeah.
And it's which pieces will you need. That the funny part about this show, where's the line?
Where's the line?
Is if we can identify the lines, can we move them? If we can figure out if we can untangle this bad game of telephone and lay out the lines in a way that's meaningful, so that we can go, wait a minute, that's not a, you're fine, that shouldn't be a line anymore.
Right.
We need that communication, we need that opening, we need that.
Right.
that's a lot of the point of the show. Is it's you're finding those lines.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to figure out. And people are like, well, but you don't do shows about lines. No, I do shows about life. And we talk about figuring it out.
Right.
And we go at it from weird directions. We talk about turds and riddles and Dalmatians and, when it gets to my birthday, we do Area 51 because I'm turning 51. If anybody wants, people will ask, is there an episode where you actually go through and answer the 10 questions? And I'm like, yeah, there's Area 51.
Yeah.
There's shows that if you really have an interest in knowing us, please understand that I never mean to step on anybody, including Ross, but that I promise what I am doing is, as I've always told others they need to, I am cutting little pieces off myself for you to nibble on, giving you my experience, exposing myself. I'm not trying to create a situation where other people feel like I have an agenda or that they feel more exposed than I am. My goal in the 10 question episode is for there to be a combination of things going on where I believe part of that connection is based on my willingness to expose myself.
Right.
That what makes it a 45-minute show, what makes it the show that it is that there isn't a ton of space because there's more than one person there.
Right.
If you just do an interview, 15, 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't a point to beat you up with. It was a point to go that I think the reality of the show, this show, that show, other shows.
I have a difficulty with the interacting with the person piece of an interview.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is you have
exposure.
You have to expose yourself. You have to relate. You have to let yourself be present, and just not very good at that so far.
What if the spider lures you in and pounces?
What do you mean?
What if it feels like you're working hard, you're present. Oh my God, what just happened?
I mean,
how to handle it. Okay, so for the record, obviously we're talking about Willow.
Right.
I think Willow's an amazing person. I've spent months talking to Willow and can't wait to talk to her more.
Yes.
She seemed startled by the fact that I wanted to talk to her more.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get that same?
Yeah.
Okay, communicate. It's okay. She's not going to...
No, I did.
Talk to me, brother. Talk to me. I'm trying to openly talk about it. I'm trying to go, hey... I hope I tried to deal with it well because I cherish her and her opinions.
I think that you dealt with it well. I know that you were feeling a lot more than you let on. I know that for a fact.
I apologize. Ross had to be here when we were off the air.
It's not an easy thing to deal with when you're in that.
Where's the line?
Yeah, when you're in that position, it's not an easy thing to.
That it literally is trying to figure out where's the line. Where do you stand?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to get it right.
It's that with a person in front of you.
Yeah. No. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That sometimes we don't mention the line in the show we do during the day because you can watch it between us as it's going back and forth and we're figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
That we bring you a show about not putting on a show. And the point of that isn't that there isn't a show, obviously.
Right.
The point of that is that we bring our true self. That we're not trying to be fake or put on masks. We're not trying to figure out, well, what's the exactly right thing to say. We're trying to have...
honest conversations.
Yeah, the hard ones.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out where's the line.
Yep.
And in the end, that's the reality.
Where is the line?
That's our fire. Where's the line? We got one viewer right at the end. We had one in the middle, and then now there's somebody on now.
That's me.
Oh, is it?
Echo was watching for a bit.